Well, on this slide, you have definitions of pragmatics. Pragmatics is a study of language as it is used in a social context, including its effect on the interlocutors. Pragmatics examines how the same signs, symbols, words, and utterances can have different meanings to different people in different settings. Pragmatics is a meaning minus semantics, says Frank Bessard in his essay Introduction, Meaning and Use in Grammar, published in Grammar, Meaning and Pragmatics. Pragmatics is that branch of linguistics which is concerned with meanings in context or the meanings of sentences in terms of the speaker's intentions in using them. Well, now let us see these definitions one by one. Pragmatics is a study of language as it is used in a social context, including its effect on the interlocutors. Pragmatics is a study of language as it is used in a given situation, in a particular context, including its effect on the interlocutors. Its effect on the interlocutors, locution, you know, speech and between, middle. That means the people involved in talking, the people involved in conversation, discourse, or dialogue, interlocutors. Or say, you know, the person, you know, who makes the dialogue between the two persons possible. You may say interlocutors. So pragmatics is a study of language as it is used in a social context, because context is very important, including its effect on the interlocutors, including its impact on the people who are participating in the conversation, people who are participating in the discourse, the social discourse. Because, you know, the discussion that you have there in your office, the discussion that you have there at your place, at your home, is altogether different. Your language is different, your body gestures are different, your tone, your intonation, everything is different. So why? Because the social context is changed. So our words, you know, they are governed by the social context, and our words are interpreted according to the social context. So here they are giving emphasis on social context. This definition gives emphasis on social context. Pragmatics examines how the same signs, symbols, words, and utterances can have different meanings to different people in different settings. This is very true. Pragmatics investigates how the same signs are, you know, signs or symbols, your body language, your body gestures, words and utterances, the sentences that you make, your choice of words, the syntactic arrangement of your words can have different meaning to different people in different settings. Different settings again means the social settings, the social context. So, you know, you are interpreted according to the signs, symbols, and utterances that you make in different social settings, and they may have different meaning to different people. Means you are not interpreted the same way by all the people who are there in a social setting. For example, you know, presently we are having a discussion on pragmatics. Now, you know, like although I'm speaking and you're listening to me, but you know, everybody would interpret my speech, my utterances differently. Why? Because you know, our interpretations, our understanding is governed by by the background knowledge that we have. Okay, the past experiences that we have, or the knowledge that we carry there in our minds. Because our mind is full of, you know, our experiences. So we react according to our past experiences or our past knowledge. For example, let us take the word sign. Now, sign can be signboard, sign can be the signs that you see, the signals, say as given by the traffic man, or symbols. It can also be interpreted differently by different people. Like symbols, can be symbols that you come across in a poem, the words and images that are being used by a poet in a poem. Symbols, you can have symbolic, you can have symbols there in a novel, or for example, say in D.H. Lawrence's novels, symbolism is very important. So even like you have allegorical novels also. You have recently read Animal Farm by George Orwell, for example, is full of symbols, full of allegorical details. So when I say symbols, symbols, you may have different interpretations there in your mind. Why? Because it is all governed by your background knowledge, or maybe whatever you're thinking at present. Like when I'm speaking to you, all of you, suppose for say 40 or 50 students are connected with me, and 40 and 50 students are not thinking on the same wavelength. We are not thinking on the same lines. Maybe when I'm uttering these sentences, when I'm reading them out to you, you have different things in your mind. So whatever in your mind, whatever you have in your mind, or whatever is going on there, you interpret things according to that. And there's a reason, like if I ask you, okay, explain what have I said, then we notice that different students express themselves differently. So pragmatics examines how the same signs, symbols, words, and utterances can have different meanings to different people in different settings. And you must have seen this also in theater also, like when you watch a play, or say when you watch a movie there in a theater, there different people react to scenes differently. Maybe like some people might find something very hilarious, very funny, but you might find it very disgusting. So this all depends upon your knowledge, your understanding, your upbringing, your personality. The way your personality is in fact the sum total of the words that you use to express yourself, the utterances that you make, your body gestures and all. So that's very true, and this is very understandable, I must say. Like it's very obvious. Pragmatics examines how the same signs, symbols, words, and utterances can have different meanings to different people in different settings, different social settings. Yeah, your meaning also changes according to social settings. Although like these political leaders, you must have seen, they give more or less the same speech in say at different places they visit during elections. But say audiences have different reactions. Some welcome them, some do not welcome them, and some have different interpretations. Like people who support them have different interpretations. They see all positivity in them, whereas people who are there in the opposition, they would find it very very objectionable. They won't find things very smooth or positive, and they would point out faults there in this speech. So you are interpreted according to the mindset of the listeners, you may say, or the interlocutors, the people who participate in this speech, as was said in the previous in this definition, interlocutors. Pragmatics is a meaning minus semantics. This is wonderful. This is beautiful. I would like to highlight it. Yes, and I would like you to take it down and pay attention to it. This is the smallest and the most powerful, I must say, the definition I have come across of pragmatics. Pragmatics is the meaning minus semantics. That means it is beyond semantics. If you take out semantics from the meaning, then you get pragmatics. Semantics is the literal meaning. If you take out the literal meaning, do away with the literal meaning, do away with the conceptual meaning, then you encounter the contextual meaning, the associative meaning, the hidden meaning. Pragmatics is the meaning minus semantics. Beautiful. Says Frank Bissard in his essay Introduction, Meaning and Use in Grammar, published in Grammar, Meaning and Pragmatics. So this you know, I don't know, I'm very fascinated by this sentence, and this is indeed very nice. So you might have something like this in exam also. Pragmatics is the meaning minus semantics. Discuss, explain. So here, what do you require to do? You're required to compare and contrast semantics and pragmatics. Like, pragmatics is beyond semantics. If you do away with the semantic structure of a sentence, then you get close to pragmatics. That means when you do away with the literal meaning, then you face the contextual meaning, the hidden meaning, the meaning that a speaker is trying to convey through his utterance. So pragmatics is meaning minus semantics. Pragmatics is that branch of linguistics which is concerned with meaning in context. Now, you know, the word context is repeated, meaning in context. What do they mean by context? Social context. Meaning in social context. Pragmatics is that branch of linguistics which is concerned with meanings in context, or the meanings of sentences in terms of speaker's intention in using them. Because, you know, when we speak, we have certain intentions, we have certain plan, we wish to convey something. That is why we speak. And if you do not have the intention to convey anything, if you do not have anything worthwhile to express, it is better to be silent. That's why if speech is silver, then silence is gold. This is what it is. If speech is silver, silence is gold. Why is it said? It is said that you speak only when you have something very worthwhile to convey. So, you know, like we have, yes, pragmatics is that branch of linguistics which is concerned with meanings in context, or the meanings of sentences in terms of a speaker's intention in using them. Meanings of sentences in terms of speaker's intentions in using them. We have a certain intention, certain plan, certain something specific in our mind, and we want to convey that thing to our listeners, to the people we are talking to. That is why this is what pragmatics is. Pragmatics examines the speaker's intention, the speaker mind, speaker's words. Is that fine? Now we can move on to the next slide. Here you have more definitions. The branch of semiotics. Semiotics is a philosophical theory of the functions of signs and symbols. The branch of semiotics that deals with the relationship between signs, especially words, and other elements of language and their users. According to the Oxford Companion to Philosophy, pragmatics is the study of language which focuses attention on the users and the context of language use rather than on reference, truth, or grammar. According to Cambridge Dictionary of Philosophy, pragmatics studies the use of language in context and the context dependence of various aspects of linguistic interpretation. Its branches include the theory of how one and the same sentence can express different meanings or propositions from context to context, owing to ambiguity or indexicality of both, speech act theory and the theory of conversation implicature. Implicature is a new word, a meaning that is not explicitly stated but can be inferred. That means the implied meaning. Not the literal meaning, but the implied meaning, meaning which is implied, which is referred, you may say that, okay, and that is implicature. So let us see. Although you find more or less the same thing in definitions, only there is just a little addition here and there. The branch of semiotics that deals with relationship between signs, especially words and other elements of language and their uses. So what do we study here in semiotics? We study the relationship between the signs and their users. Users, the speakers. So the relationship between the speakers and the body gestures and their utterances. Your speech defines your personality. Your body gestures define your personality. Your tone, your rhythm, the way you carry yourself, they all define your personality. So that is why what does semiotics study? It deals with the relationship between your words, your utterances, your tone, your rhythm, your intonation, and the way you use it. So it's a relationship between the two, the speakers and their language, their utterances. According to Oxford Companion to Philosophy, Fortune 1995, very recent, pragmatics is the study of language which focuses attention on the users and the context of language use rather than on reference, truth or grammar. Yeah. Pragmatics doesn't deal with, reference, truth or grammar. That means the grammatical structure, the syntactical structure, S plus V plus O. It rather focuses on the social context of language. Social context of language, the way the utterances are made in a particular situation, in a particular social context. So pragmatics is the study of language which focuses attention on the users, on the speakers. Whenever you have the word users, means the speakers. And the context of language, and whenever you have context, that means the social context of language, rather than on reference. Reference is the denotative meaning, in fact, the truth. This is all denotative meaning. Grammar is syntactical structure. S plus V plus O, the arrangement of words in that order. But like in pragmatics, you do not always have that arrangement also, because that depends upon the mood of the speaker. He may even alter the S plus V plus O structure according to his mood. Maybe he want to give emphasis on the object, so he might use the object first instead of noun, instead of the subject in a sentence. Well, according to the Cambridge Dictionary of Philosophy, pragmatics studies the use of language in context. Same, it's a repetition in a way. Pragmatics studies the use of language in social context. Why do you have repetition? Why do you have same thing over and over again? Because they are all defining the word pragmatics. Since they are defining the same word, obviously there would be repetition. There would be similarity in thoughts. Yet there would be a slight change also. So we are, going through these definitions so as to know what different people say, how do people define, how do different people or different dictionaries define pragmatics. Maybe there is some change in them. That's why we are going through. Besides, definitions is very important. Whenever you are learning a new field, whenever you are say examining or investigating a new field of study, then what should you do? You should go through the definitions. Definitions are very important. And even if you have a question to write on pragmatics, then you must give one or two important definitions there. And it's better to learn them by heart, the small definitions, and even if you are not able to reproduce them verbatim, you can give just the inherent meaning. Okay, what do they convey? That will do. According to Cambridge Dictionary of Philosophy, pragmatics studies the use of language in context, use of language in social context, and the context dependence of various aspects of linguistic interpretation, and context dependence of various aspects of linguistic interpretation. Linguistic interpretation, linguistic understanding, and the context dependence. Context also depend on something. What does it depend upon? Of various aspects, various things of linguistic interpretation. Linguistic interpretation and language interpretation means it depends on your choice of words, your tone, your rhythm, your intonation, your body gesture, so on and so forth. Its branches include branches of pragmatics. Its branches include the theory of how one and the same sentence can express different meanings or propositions from context to context. Its branches include it's the scope. When they're talking about branches, they're talking about the scope of pragmatics. Means the area of pragmatics. Its branches include the theory of how one and the same sentence. Like India is a beautiful country. Let us take this sentence. One and the same sentence can express different meanings or propositions from context to context. In India, the same sentence can express different meanings or propositions from context to context owing to ambiguity. But the sentence I spoke doesn't have any ambiguity. Some sentences have ambiguity, and that's why they are talking about, and they are interpreted differently because of the ambiguity involved in them. Ambiguity. The sentence I spoke was a clean, plain sentence, so there wasn't any ambiguity involved in it. But you have ambiguous sentences also. For example, say visiting doctors can be a nuisance. Visiting doctors. Now this is a sentence. Visiting doctors can be a nuisance. Now this can be interpreted in two ways. We visit doctors, it can be a nuisance. Doctors visit us, they can be a nuisance. Owing to ambiguity or indexicality. Indexicality, like the signs and symbols, or both. Speech act theory, the way you speak yourself, okay, your tone, and the theory of conversational implicature. And the theory of conversational implicature means your implied meaning in your conversation. Like whatever you say, listeners infer meaning according to their own understanding, according to their own mindset, according to their own say background knowledge. So they are here talking about the scope, the branches. Its branches include the theory of how one and the same sentence can express different meanings. This we have discussed how same signs, same symbols, same words, same utterances can have different meanings for different people in different contexts, or propositions from context to context. Owing to ambiguity or indexicality or both, speech act theory and the theory of conversation implicature. Okay,